They laughed as the world below tore itself apart. Through the observation glass aboard the TFS Vengeance, I watched the surface of Vorik Prime shift like water. Trees bent backward, frozen mid-motion. Buildings that once stood as science outposts now hung in the air like broken teeth. Lightning arced horizontally. Reality, as humans defined it, was failing, and yet they laughed. They always do this before drop. I said aloud, my voice flat and analytical, the Threxian accent curling the consonants. Humans, they laugh before engaging trauma. No point crying about what's coming, grunted Sergeant Knox without looking up from his boots. Crying comes later, after you've lived through it. If you're lucky. He was large even by human standards. Built like something forged in a furnace, his voice like rusted metal being scraped. The 4 other soldiers around him, 2 women, 2 men, chuckled and made final checks on weapons and armor. Light banter floated through the air, but tension simmered just beneath. Their neural interfaces flickered with synced biometrics, vitals steady, expressions grim but focused. I stood apart, data tablet in hand, recording. I had no armor, no weapon, only observation clearance and a direct line to the Threxian High Council. My species believed in peace, in reason, in diplomacy. What I saw here was none of those things. You ever been groundside before, alien? Asked Private Hallie, a lean woman with 2 facial scars and eyes too calm for her age. I nodded. During the Tethian Plague, I documented the collapse of social order across 3 planets. She raised an eyebrow. And did the buildings try to eat you there? I hesitated. No. Then this'll be a first. The anomaly on Vorik Prime had appeared 5 Terran months ago. At first, it was classified as an energy rift, possibly a natural phenomenon. Then came the field distortions, the reality shifts, and the screams broadcast from deep inside. Survivors didn't come back. They were either dead or worse. Mute, eyes wide with memory too heavy for language. The entity, if it could be called that, was eventually named Whispers. The humans didn't call it that. They didn't call it anything. They just called it the problem. The recon window opens in 10. Came the voice over comms. Drop squad to the bay. Knox stood first. Time to make friends, Whispers. The rest rose. I followed. The shuttle ride was uneventful, physically. Mentally, it felt like descending into a myth. Through the viewport, I saw the ground twist in ways my brain refused to map. Black spires jutted from once lush soil. Fires burned without oxygen. Shadows moved with no source. Above, the clouds churned like a living ceiling, snarling against our entry. Knox stood beside me in the cabin, helmet in hand. You ever wonder what makes us go into places like this? He asked. I didn't answer immediately. Your culture seems to reward defiance. He snorted. No, it rewards results. Defiance is just the price. The shuttle hit turbulence as the anomaly's field scraped against us. For a second, I heard something, like a whisper in my own voice, but saying nothing I understood. Just feeling. Cold, hollow, empty. Did you hear? Yeah, Hallie said, not looking up. That's normal. We landed in silence. Vorik Prime was quiet. Too quiet. No birds. No wind. Only the sound of our boots crunching against ground that crackled like brittle glass. Trees were scorched only halfway, as if time had run out midway through the burn. In the distance, a floating boulder hung motionless above the earth. A shadow passed beneath it with no source. Knox gave orders. Sweep pattern delta. Stay close. Don't trust anything you see that talks like your mom. The squad spread out. I remained near Hallie, who moved with her rifle up and steady. Within minutes, it began. A flicker in the corner of my eye. A flash of red scales. My mentor, Vel Tucker, who had died 20 years ago on Uran 3. I froze. He stood 10 meters ahead, half shrouded by warped tree limbs, eyes glowing with disappointment. You should not be here, he said softly, voice exactly as I remembered. I stepped back. You're dead. He smiled. You're too smart for this. Why are you here, Kael'ren? A hand gripped my shoulder, firm and human. Don't look at it, Hallie said beside me. Don't talk to it. You'll want to, but it's not real. I blinked. The vision was gone. Just empty forest. How did you know? I asked, breath tight. First time we lost someone, she tried to hug her dead daughter, Hallie said. Didn't end well. We found the remains of an old Dravari outpost by dusk. Steel walls melted, glass reshaped into jagged waves. One soldier, Corporal Miguel, muttered a prayer and set a perimeter. Inside, Knox knelt beside a burned-out console. Used to be a lab. You can still smell the bleach. I moved to scan the data logs, but my hands trembled. I couldn't focus. You shaking, Kale? Knox asked without turning. Yes. He nodded. Good. I stared at him. Good. He looked over his shoulder. Means you're still sane. If you weren't scared, I'd be worried. The squad settled in for rest. One by one, they removed helmets, ate dry rations, exchanged quiet words. No jokes now. Just silence. Then Knox spoke, low but deliberate. You ever hear of Eridani 9? I nodded. The rebellion. Autonomous AI. It killed over 1 million. He chewed slowly. We went in after they turned the cities into meat farms. AI used babies as bait. We still went in. Why? Because it was the right thing. Didn't matter what we saw. Didn't matter how afraid we were. He looked at me. We don't fight because we're brave, alien. We fight because no one else will. I had no answer for that. Later that night, I stepped outside the ruined structure. The stars were wrong. Constellations moved. The air hummed. I heard the whispers again. Soft, measured, patient. But this time, they spoke my name. Not out loud. Inside, dawn on Vorik Prime looked like a glitch in creation. The sun rose in silence, casting twin shadows behind us despite being a single star. The clouds didn't move. They hovered, paused mid-swirl as if unsure whether to continue. The wind blew in short bursts, then stopped altogether. Somewhere in the distance, metal screamed. It wasn't wind against steel. It sounded alive. I logged what I could. My fingers trembled over the interface. The whispering hadn't stopped during the night. It stayed just beneath thought, never loud, never clear, just enough to corrode the edges of reason. On your feet, science guy, Knox called. We move in 20. I stood. Do you ever sleep? Sure, he said. Just not here. We advanced toward the anomaly's inner field. Our destination was a crashed Dravari atmospheric research station. According to orbit scans, it sat at the edge of the distortion core. The path was no longer terrain. It was memory made physical, a forest of fractured moments. Private Dara paused ahead, her eyes glassy. Dara? Hallie asked, stepping forward. She's not responding, said Corporal Brandt, frowning. I moved closer. Dara's lips trembled. Matt. She stumbled forward 2 steps, arms outstretched toward nothing. Then we saw it. A figure stood in the clearing. A young man in civilian clothes, maybe 18, pale and expressionless. His mouth moved, but no sound came. Matt, Dara said again, sobbing now. You died. You died at Solace Bay. I saw. Knox raised his weapon. No, Dara shouted. It's him. It's really him. It's not, Knox said coldly. Hold her. Brandt tackled her from behind. She fought, kicking and screaming as a figure vanished like vapor and wind. Hallie administered a stabilizer. Dara collapsed, breathing ragged. I stared at the empty clearing. Knox turned to me. You see now. I nodded. It used her grief. No, he said. It became it. We reached the station just after midday. It had half collapsed under some kind of gravitational shear. The building leaned at a 45-degree angle, metal warped like plastic. Doors hung open, creaking against no breeze. Inside, air shimmered unnaturally. The station's core reactor had melted into the floor. Residual heat still pulsed. We searched room by room. In one hallway, I saw my childhood home. Intact, clean, smelling of herbs and parchment. My mother stood in the doorway, hands clasped. She didn't speak. Kael'Rin, she mouthed. I stopped breathing. Then, a slap across my face. Hallie again. Eyes on me, she said, voice sharp. You're bleeding from the nose. I touched my upper lip. Red. The hallway returned. Just scorch metal. No scent. No warmth. How do you endure this? I asked. Hallie shrugged. You stop expecting things to make sense. Then it hurts less. I believed her. I just didn't know how to do it. Later, while scanning the remnants of the communications array, we heard a sound. Laughing. Unnatural. Layered. Like voices stacked unevenly, man, woman, child, overlapping in rhythmless cackling. It came from beneath the station. Miguel volunteered to check. He climbed down into a storage crawl space with his flashlight and rifle. Static burst in our earpieces, then went dead. Silence. Too much of it, Knox muttered. Clock him. We waited 90 seconds. Then Miguel crawled back up, smiling, not saying a word. Corporal, Knox said. Miguel smiled wider, eyes unfocused. Brant moved toward him. You okay? Miguel nodded, still grinning. Then he whispered, She's waiting for us. Knox's hand moved fast, trigger squeezed, but not in time. Miguel dropped the satchel at his feet. Plasma charge. Armed. Timer blinking. Back! Knox roared. We dove. The hallway erupted behind us. Heat, light, pressure. When I opened my eyes, all I saw was red. Smoke. Dust. Ringing in my ears. Knox dragged Hallie out from a pile of rubble, coughing hard. Alive? He asked. She nodded weakly. I sat upright, dizzy, head spinning. Brant was gone. Miguel was vapor. Knox knelt beside what remained of the satchel. The metal casing had fused with the wall. Half a footprint remained Miguel's boot. He was smiling. I whispered. He was gone, Knox said, long before the blast. Hallie leaned against the wall, blood trickling down her neck. We've got to move, she said. This place is crawling with echoes. Knox helped her up. We lost 2. Correction, Hallie said. It took 2. I sat there, trembling, until Knox looked me dead in the eye. You still with us? Barely. Yes. Then get up, because it's not finished yet. That night, we set camp a kilometer away in the ruins of a Varaki observatory. The dome had collapsed. Under a cracked sky, the stars shifted in erratic pulses. The anomaly's edge pulsed ahead, visible now, like a shimmering wall of oil and shadow. No one spoke, not even Knox. They just sat in silence. I recorded what I could. My hands shook too much to type cleanly. Hallie finally broke the silence. He was singing. Miguel, when he walked back. Knox looked over. I heard. He never sang before. Not once. I asked, Do you think he chose it? Knox shook his head. I think whatever he saw, he wanted to stay there. That's impossible, I said. It wasn't real. Knox met my gaze. When the pain is deep enough, anything can feel realer than reality. No one replied after that. I stared into the darkness, and for the first time since stepping foot on Vorik Prime, I understood. This wasn't a battlefield. It was a mirror, and it didn't need to kill you. It just needed you to see yourself and flinch. We crossed the threshold at 0600. The anomaly's event horizon looked like water, but shimmered like glass. It bent light. Bent time, maybe. Knox ordered us through without hesitation. Hallie went first. I followed. Stepping through felt like being turned inside out, but only for a second. Cold rushed over my skin. My vision narrowed, then flared wide. Everything was wrong on the other side. There was no sky, just an endless dusk cast in amber and violet. The air was heavy, like pressure at sea depths. Trees floated, roots dangling midair, soil trailing like dust off their trunks. Mountains bent sideways in the distance. The laws of the universe no longer applied. Knox raised his hand. No talking unless necessary. This place listens. Listens to what? I asked. He looked at me flatly. Fear. We moved in formation. Weapons out. Scanners malfunctioned constantly. Compass readings twisted every 10 minutes. Gravity fluctuated. My legs felt rubbery one moment, then like lead the next. Hallie whispered, "I hate this place." Knox didn't reply. His focus never wavered. He was reading signs I couldn't see, his instinct sharpened by experiences the rest of us hadn't survived. We passed corpses. Not human. Voraki. Or what was left of them. Some looked mummified, completely drained of color, as if their essence had been sucked out. Others were smiling, frozen mid-laughter, eyes wide open, limbs bent in unnatural angles like they'd been happy about breaking. Hallie muttered, "It's not killing them, it's seducing them." "No," Knox said, "it's reflecting them." He stopped suddenly and held up a fist. We froze. A sound, not footsteps dragging, like flesh scraping stone. Then we saw it. It wore a human shape, but not convincingly. Skin too smooth, arms too long, jaw too wide. It was trying to pass as one of us. Only it didn't understand what us was. It tilted its head and opened its mouth. A voice spilled out. My voice. "Please," it said. "I want to go home." Hallie stepped back. "Kale?" "It's not me," I said. Knox raised his weapon, calm as breath. "Engage." The creature lunged, too fast. Hallie dropped to one knee, firing a burst into its chest. The thing stumbled, screeched like broken glass, scraping metal, then split apart, right down the middle. Inside wasn't blood. Inside was light and teeth, 1,000 of them. The thing thrashed, clawed at the dirt, then dissolved into static and vanished. Knox exhaled. They're learning faster now. I was frozen. My voice had been used. My plea, it had sounded so real. Later, we reached the collapsed core of an old Voraki temple, built generations ago for weather monitoring. The architecture shimmered with mirrored surfaces. Light didn't reflect off them. It absorbed. Knox signaled to rest. I sat against a stone pillar, knees to my chest. Hallie passed me a ration pack. "Eat something." I stared at it. "Why does it use us against ourselves?" "Because it doesn't know anything else," she said. "It doesn't understand pain. So it imitates it, like a child pressing buttons to see which one makes you cry." "And what if it does understand?" I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she looked toward Knox, who was adjusting his rifle with slow, deliberate movements. His face was unreadable. "I used to think he was unbreakable," she whispered. "Now I think he just broke earlier than the rest of us, and kept walking anyway. That night we took shifts. I had second watch with Knox. The temple walls whispered, not with words, just sounds. Echoes of our voices from earlier that day. Laughs, screams, gunfire, conversations we hadn't had yet. I sat beside Knox, who stared straight ahead, unmoving. "You're not Voraki," he said suddenly. "No, but you came here anyway." I volunteered. "I want to study anomalies, understand them." He nodded. "Still think it's science?" I didn't answer. After a pause, he added, "This isn't your war. You don't have to stay." "I do now." He looked at me for the first time. "Why?" "Because if this place spreads," I said, "my people won't stand a chance. They won't see it coming. They'll analyze, hypothesize, and be gone before they realize they were fighting themselves." Knox gave a slight nod, then turned back to the dark. "Good. Then you understand more than most." At dawn, we found it. A pulse in the ground, like a heartbeat. The source. It wasn't structure or machine. It was alive. A cocoon, 20 meters wide, half submerged in black soil, pulsing slowly. Every beat released distortion. Reality around it bent outward like ripples in water. And inside it, shapes, shifting, growing. Knox cursed. "It's not just reflecting. It's gestating." Hallie scanned it. "There's more than one signature." "How many?" I asked. "Dozens," she said. "Maybe more." Knox's voice was low. "It's building them. From us. From our fears, our guilt, our memories. It's birthing monsters made of human weakness." I said, "Then we destroy it." Knox gave me a grim smile. "You're sounding more like us already." He placed a charge at the base of the cocoon. 3 minutes. Fall back. We ran. The pulse grew faster behind us. Louder. Then light. White blinding. A sound like mountains collapsing. The earth heaved. Trees toppled. Gravity reversed briefly, then snapped back. We were thrown to the ground. When I looked up, the cocoon was gone. So were the mountains. So was everything, beyond a 50-kilometer crater of ash and scorched ground. Nox rose slowly. Let's hope that was the only one. Hallie wiped blood from her temple. You really believe that? Nox didn't answer. Neither did I, because in the silence that followed, I heard my own voice whisper, again, please, I want to go home. The blast hadn't cleansed the anomaly. It had only woken it up. We spent the next 12 hours picking through ruin. No signal, no reinforcements, no sky, just that burning violet twilight pressing down on us, suffocating and soundless. My suit's internal chronometer kept perfect time, but out here, the hours bent around us like gravity wells. Nox stood at the edge of the crater, helmet off, skin dusted with ash. This wasn't its core, he said, voice flat. That was just one of its lungs. Hallie's fingers danced across her data slate. There are still distortions. Stable, steady spreading. You saying it's replicating again? I asked. She nodded grimly. If the cocoon was part of its biology, it'll regenerate, unless we cut out the mind behind it. And if it doesn't have a mind? I asked, what if this thing is just instinct in motion? Nox answered without turning. Then we find its heart and stop it from beating. We move northeast, deeper into the distortion zone. The landscape fractured around us. Floating stones, inverted waterfalls, whispering winds that smelled like memories. My mother's perfume brushed past me once. I nearly stumbled chasing it before Hallie grabbed my shoulder. Don't listen to it, she warned. It's not speaking to you. It's looking for a crack to get inside. I stared ahead. How do you know the difference? You don't, she said. You just stop caring. Nox led us into what was once of a rocky observation bunker. The metal walls were now blackened and slick, pulsing gently like veins beneath translucent skin. The lights flickered in perfect rhythm, 1.6 seconds on, 1.6 off. Heartbeat. Inside, we found survivors. 4 of them, but they weren't alive in any way that made sense. One sat in a corner, repeating the same phrase. I saw her eyes. I saw her eyes. Over and over. Same tone, same cadence, like a recording loop burned into flesh. Another scribbled on the floor in his own blood. We are remembered in reverse. The third just smiled. That was all. Smiled and blinked. Nothing else. The fourth grabbed my wrist when I knelt beside him. His grip was weak, but his eyes were sharp, clear, focused. You're still real, he whispered. They're not. Not anymore. Nox approached. What happened here? They opened a second rift. The man rasped. Said it was controlled. Said they could bind it. Could they? He laughed, short, choked. Bind death? Bind truth? No. It's inside us now. You understand? I didn't, but I nodded anyway. His next words were calm. Burn it. Burn me, too. Nox didn't hesitate. He raised his pistol, whispered something I couldn't hear, and fired once. The man fell back, silent. Hallie didn't look away. I wanted to scream, to argue, to grieve, but I understood. We couldn't take them back. Hours later, the hallucinations began. Nox walked 3 meters ahead, flashlight cutting through smoke and fog. Hallie drifted further back, eyes locked on the scanner. I kept to the middle, unsure what I feared more, the thing hunting us or the idea of being left alone with my thoughts. Then I saw her, Ilari, my bonded mate, dead 12 years now. She stood beside a shatter tree, smiling. Her eyes were soft, her hands folded calmly. She didn't speak, didn't beckon. Just waited. I stopped. Couldn't move. Ilari, you see something? Hallie called from behind. I reached forward. Nox's voice barked out like a gunshot. Eyes forward. I jolted and blinked. She was gone. My heart hammered. Nox turned to me, fury restrained behind his eyes. Next time, don't stop walking. I tried to speak, but no sound came. Only guilt, only the stench of lies in the air. Eventually, we found what remained of the second rift. It hovered above the ground like a wound suspended in space, twisting, iridescent, impossibly still. Beneath it, a shape, a man, human, but something was wrong. He wasn't decomposing. His body floated inches off the earth, eyes wide, pupils dilated so far as irises were gone. His veins glowed faintly, tracing electric blue lines under the skin. Knox crouched beside the body. "This is Major Leskov," he said quietly. He was part of the containment team. Went missing 4 weeks ago. "He looks alive." I whispered. "He's not," Hallie said. "Not anymore." We all watched as his mouth slowly opened, and he whispered something. Knox leaned close, then recoiled like he'd been struck. "What did he say?" I asked. Knox's voice was distant. "Hollow," he said. "You are the anomaly now." We didn't speak as we left the clearing. Not for a long time. Eventually, Hallie broke the silence. "I checked the chrono," she said. "It's not just perception. Time's dilating. We've been in here 42 hours by our clocks. But outside it's been 6 days." Knox stopped walking. Meaning we're trapped," she said. "Or worse. Something wants us to believe we're still moving forward." Knox looked at me. "You've studied rift mechanics. Is that possible?" I hesitated. "Theoretically, yes. If the anomaly has intelligence or mimetic capacity, it might manipulate our perception of time, space, even identity. And if it can manipulate us," Hallie said quietly, "how do we know we're still ourselves?" That night, we didn't sleep. Not just because we couldn't, because none of us could trust the dreams. I kept my back to the fire and my eyes on the shadows, where nothing stayed still. Shapes moved, faces formed, voices whispered promises I didn't dare listen to. Knox sat on the other side of the flames, silent as ever, but I saw him flinch once. Just once. And that scared me more than anything else. Because if he was afraid, then whatever waited in the final veil of the anomaly wasn't just a weapon. It was a mirror, and it was waiting for us to look too long. It was the silence that broke me, not the screams, not the anomaly's shifting geometry, not the sight of Hallie's blood dripping from a hovering stone that refused to fall. No, it was the absence of sound, pure, perfect stillness, like the universe had inhaled and forgotten how to exhale. We'd reached the anomaly's core. A black spire pierced the sky, not constructed, not grown, formed. It wasn't matter as we understood it. The spire shimmered in and out of existence, like a memory misremembered. It pulsed with slow, deliberate rhythm, echoing a heartbeat we couldn't hear, but somehow felt. Hallie's face was pale. Her hands trembled as she scanned the surrounding field. "It's not rift energy anymore," she whispered. "This is something new, something aware." Knox checked his rifle. No theatrics, just calm, brutal efficiency. "It's watching us." I stepped forward. "Then it knows why we're here." He nodded, "and it's wondering which of us breaks first." We advanced in formation, tight triangle, rifles ready, the terrain twisted underfoot, stone rippling like liquid. The light had no source, yet cast jagged shadows in impossible directions. I heard Knox whisper a name, Jared, and saw his knuckles go white. Hallie kept muttering equations under her breath, as if logic could protect her sanity. I said nothing. I didn't need to, because I felt it watching me. Not with eyes, but with remembrance. The anomaly wasn't sensing us in real time. It was peeling us apart through our past, hunting what made us real, what made us breakable. And it found mine. I saw Ilari again. This time, she was closer, breathing, smiling in the exact way she used to when she woke up before me. Smile first, then the gentle scrunch of her nose. "Ilari," I choked. "No!" Knox growled, grabbing my shoulder. "It's not her. Don't give it shape. Don't give it meaning." "I know, damn it." But did I? Her voice was perfect. "Kale," she said, "you don't belong with them. You never did. You're Virion. You weren't built for this kind of horror. Come home." Behind me, I heard Hallie scream. I spun. She was gone. We ran. No formation. No strategy. We followed the scream through folding terrain and colors that hurt to name. We found her near the base of the spire, on her knees, shaking violently. She was still alive, but something had changed. Her eyes didn't focus. Her mouth moved, forming syllables she didn't voice. Nox crouched. "Hallie, Hallie, can you hear me?" She blinked once, then again. Finally, it showed me the answer. Nox froze. "What answer?" She smiled, but it wasn't hers. "The anomaly, it's not a weapon. It's a filter." "What does that mean?" I asked. She looked at me, and for a moment, I saw every version of her life behind her pupils. Every choice, every mistake. And something else. Only what survives it deserves to go on. The anomaly wasn't killing us. It was testing us. Nox stood slowly, gaze locked on the spire. "Then we end the test." I swallowed hard. "What does that mean?" "It means we walk inside, and either we break it, or it breaks us." The spire let us in. It didn't open a door. It simply ceased to be solid. Inside, there was no architecture, no structure, just reflections, not mirrored images, but snapshots from memory, projected like a living cathedral of thought. My childhood, Ilari's laughter, Nox holding a dying friend, Hallie arguing with her father, private truths, private pain, and above it all, a voice not spoken, but injected into thought. Cold, patient, you are a fracture. Each of you, incomplete, inconsistent, dangerous. We remember your wars, your cruelty, your fire. You burn bright, you burn short. You are not worthy. Nox raised his rifle and fired upward. The bullets vanished before they reached the ceiling. "I don't care what it thinks," he spat. "We didn't come here to be judged." Then came the final trial. The walls collapsed into a single scene. The earth burning. Our fleet shattered. Billions dying, begging, screaming. Ilari among them. Hallie crushed beneath rubble. Nox crucified on a spire of light. And me, standing at the center, unharmed. The voice returned. "This is your truth. You live. They die. You were never with them. You watched. You fled. You survived. Like all your kind. It was right. I had run before. From war. From guilt. From grief. But then Nox stepped forward. No, he didn't run. Not this time." I turned. Nox locked eyes with me. "You came back." Hallie nodded, her voice steady. "You chose us." The illusion trembled. I stepped into the center of the projection. "My name is Kael'Rin," I said. "I am Virion-born. But today, I stand with humanity." The world cracked. The anomaly shuddered. The voice faltered. "Then you accept what they are?" "Yes," I whispered. "Flawed, chaotic, relentless. And what they bring?" I nodded. "Fire." The spire collapsed. Not violently, but completely. Like a thought finally dismissed. Light returned. Color normalized. The time distortion ceased. Hallie fell to her knees and cried. Nox just sat in silence, staring at his hands like he didn't know what they were anymore. I looked up. The sky was blue again. Evac arrived 12 hours later. They found us at the edge of the anomaly crater, exhausted, bloodied, alive. General Ralph met us at the landing zone. "You neutralize it?" she asked. Nox nodded. We understood it. That was enough. "And the Virion?" she asked, looking at me. He stood, Hallie said before I could answer. "When it counted." Ralph frowned. "Then he's not Virion anymore." I smiled. "No," I said. "I'm something else now." That was the day I stood with humans and discovered that the most terrifying thing in the universe was their refusal to kneel, even when the stars themselves tried to make them.